to believe it when you cannot see it. You gotta be possessed with the dream. Yeah.
You have to feel it when it's not tangible. You have to feel it when it's not even tangible. Do you know what that means? That means that you're following something, you're prying for something that you don't even know what it looks like. You don't even know if it really exists. You don't even know. The only faculties you're functioning off of is that it is of you. It resides in you. This is something that's a fire within you. It's a passion of yours. And you know nothing other than to follow it blindly. This is straight from the chest. I'm your host, Justin Groth. Guys, this is my podcast. This is straight from my chest, straight from my gut, straight from my spirit. All of that. All of it culminated into one. Guys, I'm spiritual, which means I'm centered, I'm rooted in God. That's what I mean by spiritual, not of any other divinity, not just living off the universe's poles. And no. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in one entity, and that's God, period. So if that isn't for you, then this podcast is not for you. And I feel like I have to disclaim that because and that's a sad thing, because I feel like I have to disclaim that there are people in this world that don't believe in God. There are people in this world that don't believe in a creator of the universe, that think this just happened just poof one day, and that there was nobody responsible for it. And I don't know about you, but even though I didn't see God make it, even though God didn't tell me himself, I made this, I'm going to go on the chance that he did. And I'm going to go out, die on that chance. I'm going to take my chances, people. And I don't know about you, but that's the only thing that I understand well, is I'm going to take my chances on that predication. I'm going to take my chances that the Bible is 100% truth. I'm going to take my chances in that Jesus is the Son of God, and that's a real thing, even though I wasn't alive in Jesus' day. And even though God didn't say to me, Justin, look, this is me, I'm God, and I am God, Justin. Do you know who I am? I'm God. I created everything. Even though that has never existed in anyone's life, and I've never been to heaven and came back down to this earth and been able to report that God is real 150 million %, I'm going to take my chances that it is. I'm going to die taking my chances that everything I'm doing and I'm believing is the truth. And I'd hope that you would do the same. I'd hope that you would follow me. Honestly, if you don't, I don't honestly know what you're doing with your life. And that's just my opinion. And if it hurts your feelings, that's fine. I was made unique, and I was made to pierce people with the truth. That's why God made me. That's why God made you. God made you to infect this planet. God made you to leave your indentation on this planet. God made you to do all of that while affecting others for their progressive. And I want to talk to you today. I want to be real. Can I talk to you today? Can I just be real with you today? Can I let you in on some of the struggles that are going on in my life? Great. So the last podcast that I did, I go live. For anybody who just listens to the podcast and they don't see any of the live stream that I do on Instagram, I also live stream it at the same time. And so I see who views sometimes. I go back and I check, or I see who's left comments, etc. And I gotta be honest with you, I do not have a large following at all for this. At all. I'm gonna reiterate that, at all. And when I go back and I see who's commented, I can see everybody with like one swipe because there's like nobody, okay? But I also put this content up on YouTube, and that's just another extension of what I use the video for, okay? Now that you have some context, there was a person that had replied, and I don't know who this person is. I don't follow them. I didn't even know they followed me, or maybe they don't and they just saw it because I'm public. And they decided to tune in. Okay, fine. Well, what they said can be so discouraging to me if I let it. And what they said was, you only have one follower, or one viewer. At the time I had one viewer. Like I said, I don't have barely anybody seeing this at all. But the person said, you have one follower. Why are you, and I think they said, who are you even talking to? You have one follower or one viewer. And they said, bye, unfollow. Okay. That was the end of that person, right? So amidst all of the accolades I've ever received, and I've been blessed to receive, the accolades sometimes don't measure up in a lot of our lives to the critiques. And we allow the critiques, if we're not careful, we're not guarded enough, to hinder our spirit. And then in turn, it hinders the fire behind the purpose. Now, this is a part of my purpose. This podcast is a part of my purpose. This isn't the thing that I'm going to be doing for my life that's going to bring me into a state of, for lack of a better word, purpose, but it is the predecessor. It's a part of the journey. And I'm being obedient to that calling because I don't know what else to be. And that's just the truth. That's the blind, unfiltered truth. I don't know what else to be. I don't know how else to illustrate what's brewing in me. I don't know how else to do it. And so I do it like this. And that was the whole reasoning why I even started this podcast, why I even started the production of this, because I wanted to let out what I feel has been brewing inside of me and what I felt I could give to the public, to the 1 or 2 or 3 viewers or 5 viewers that I get. And if you view my podcast when I post it on my stories, my Instagram stories, or if I were to see and focus in on the links that were clicked, excuse me, or if I were to focus in on, keep refreshing how many views I got on YouTube, which by the way are like 0, okay? Just so you know, they're 0. Like 0 to like 10 views. I say these things from a vulnerable standpoint, because what I'm trying to convey is that it doesn't matter where you start. What matters is you start. What matters is you practice. You practice for your purpose. You continue to practice for that position that you want, because it's only through practice that you're going to become refined and become chiseled and sharpened and be able to produce on the high level. But you got to produce on the low level right now if you expect to be great at the high level. You have to produce now. You have to follow that influential feeling that you have inside now. And also, you have to remain focused, and you cannot get distracted from other people that have already been doing the damn thing for years and years and years, and they're at a high level now with thousands and millions of views and millions of people watching them. You cannot get sidetracked. And that's what I have a hard time as well with, because I will see people that I feel I'm just as good at. I feel I will see these people that I'm just as good like, and I feel that because they're at this level and they're speaking on something over here, but that topic doesn't resonate with me, but maybe I should speak on that because that's a good topic to speak on. I have some things to say on that. But that wasn't what God had put in my direction. That wasn't what God was hitting my heart with. That wasn't what He was talking to me with. He was speaking to me on another platform. He was speaking to me about something that He wanted me to talk about, that was unique to me, that was profound in me, that was inspired through Him to me to speak on. And so instead, I have to listen carefully and produce on that regard, on that measure. Because if I'm not careful, I'll become a copy. And that's not what I'm meant to be like. That's what I'm meant to not be. That's what you're meant to not be. You're meant to be an original. But if you continue to allow people to predicate your path with what has worked for them and not listen to that still small voice, that authentic feeling that you have that says stay in your lane, produce what it is that you're inspired by, and produce what you feel authentic with. If you are not careful, the lack of uniquity, the lack of your unique character that doesn't shine will just be diluted with everybody else's position, with everybody else's ways of thinking, because you'll become no different. And that is not what you're called to be. That's not what I'm called to be like. I'm called to be unique. I'm called to be set apart, to be different. I'm called to speak a certain way, and that's how I speak. And I won't speak any different. I don't care if it hurts your feelings. I don't care if you don't like my look. I don't care if you think I look weird. I don't care if you think I yell too much. I don't care, because I am being obedient to what it is in here that you can't feel. You can't feel what I feel. You can't think what I think, because you're not me. So what am I going to do being like you when it doesn't benefit me? Because I'm just diluting who I was made to be like. And that is a talent that I'm suppressing. And I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. Not with me, not with who I am, not with the armor that I have on me. It's not going to happen. Not today, not any day. You can bring everything you got. You can give me all your weapons. You can give me all your armor. You can fight against me all you want. I'll break all that down. I'll annihilate it, because what's in me is way more powerful than what you have to come against me. And who created me, and who is in me, who lives within me, is way too powerful for anything that you got on your end. This is reality. This is something we all struggle with. You have this fight in you. You have this undaunting need to let out who you are. And whether it is making art, whether it is starting your own business, whether it is speaking to the masses, whatever it is, you have this undaunting need to produce, to facilitate. But you're too scared to become vulnerable to the public because you don't want them to critique you. And I get it. But some of the strongest times that are ever produced in our life are when we're weak and vulnerable, with our surrender, with our submissions to things. Because that's when God is working directly in your life, and He shows up and shows out in ways that are unfathomable to you. And let me tell you something. If I listened to that one person on the live and what they had to say, and I actually took heed to it, if I listened, that would discourage me. And it obviously did to some degree, because I'm talking about it right now with you. But I'm also using it as a lesson for the future. Because if I think I'm going to be where I think God wants to bring me, I got to get used to that. And what's more important is I continue my practice. I continue practicing. I continue with the podcast. I continue to speak. I continue a million times over. I continue to practice because my purpose is strong in me, and my favor that God gives me is strong as well. And the blessings and the anointing, I'm not going to stand and let go by my side. I'm going to come into them. I'm anointed, I'm blessed, I'm favored, and so are you. So are you. But you got to continue practicing. You got to continue manufacturing your purpose. And so it comes into its full presence. But it's through the practice that these things are formed. It's through the practice and the trial and the error and the critiques and the accolades as well that form your purpose. And that is your identity. Do you understand? Your purpose is your identity. You keep searching for your identity before manufacturing your purpose. Your purpose opens the window to who you are and what you are called to be. And I'm going to also tell you, I'm going to let you in on a little bit of an embarrassing topic in my life. It's not so embarrassing now because I now understand why this was a yearn for me when I was young. But I remember at a young age, I'm talking young, like 8, 9, 10, 11. It got more predominant when I was 15, 16, 17. But I would talk to myself. And I'm not just saying I would talk when I would be taking a crap. I mean, I would be talking to myself in the mirror. I would listen to rap music. I would rap in front of the mirror because for some reason I liked that. That brought joy to my life, and it brought joy on a level of almost like meditation or therapy. And I would see the way that I would look in the mirror as I was speaking, and I'd be talking about anything. It could be anything. And I would just talk. It wasn't like I was talking to an audience or I had an invisible friend, because I didn't have that. I didn't believe in invisible friends. I wasn't talking to myself like I was talking to a visible person. I was just talking, but I had the yearn to want to speak. And now I understand that was just practice. That was practice on purpose. And I didn't even know it. It was happening on accident, but it was all a part of God's divine plan. Do you understand? I'm speaking to somebody. I know I am. It was all a part of his divine plan to get me more practice. Get me more practice so that when I'm on stage, I'm infecting and I'm powerful and I'm forceful and I'm penetrating and I'm piercing those that hear me. It was on purpose. It was on purpose that the practice existed, and it was on purpose that the practice existed for my ultimate purpose to come into manifestation. Somebody hear me on that. So I'm not going to stop. I'm not stopping because of 1 or 2 or 3,000 people saying, Justin, shut up, or Justin, unfollow. I don't care. You do that. You do you. I'm going to continue doing what I'm called to do because I know that I'm following this purpose with intent, and I know that it's not stopping at the podcast. It's not stopping at 5 viewers, 6 viewers only. It's not stopping there. It's starting. It's starting here. Just like it's starting in your life. But you have to start and you have to practice for your purpose.